Hello and welcome to Illini Drive here on WPGU 107.1, the final show of the semester, not just for the Tuesday and Thursday crew, but the entire Illini Drive crew. And what we have on you for the final show is we're going to talk some Illini basketball. And I think in the middle of the show, what do you guys want to talk some NFL? Get some Thursday night football going on tonight. Is anybody going to watch that?
Nope.
No, probably not.
No,
probably
I have no one on my fantasy team, so I have no interest.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, Alvin Kamara is probably going to play on Sunday. That's very good for me.
That's I don't care.
Not good for
Not
you.
on my team.
No.
Hey, I'm in the semifinals right now though.
Same.
So
in both my leagues.
Yeah, one of my leagues.
Okay.
But things are going well.
Okay, well, at least that's good. And if you want to talk to us on the many topics that we're going to talk about, you can on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, all of which are at Illini Drive. So, boys, let's start on this final edition of Illini Drive with some Illinois basketball. Isaac, I haven't spoken to you in, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's
due
been
to
a
some
while.
classes? Yeah, man. I missed you.
Miss you too.
You still look good.
I had to come for the last show. Just
Yeah,
to make
absolutely.
Sure.
We all had to come for the last show, absolutely. By the way, I should mention that the people that are here are Isaac Trotter, Eli Schuster, Alex Aguilera, and I'm Luke Sciaccotta. Naya is on a flight back home, and she's going back to San Francisco, right? That's where she's from?
Yes, I believe
Yes.
so.
I nearly said
From the Bay Area.
Right, the Bay Area. I nearly said Golden State for some odd reason. But yes, Isaac, I wanted to talk to you about Illinois basketball, and what are your thoughts on what has been going on so far? This team has just been very, very strange. They won against Longwood. They just absolutely crushed them. But in the games before that, they just, I don't know, something was really, really strange about them as Eli is taking a panoramic photo of all of us.
Yeah.
It's a Snapchat, Luke.
It's a difference.
Good level.
Get it right.
For me, my thoughts on Illinois basketball, this is kind of what I expected coming into the season with such a new influx of talent. I think that with these young guys, I think that last night there were times where, yes, they beat Longwood 92-45, which was terrific, but I was more impressed with seeing the fact that Illinois was able to play at a pretty high level, and we had 4 freshmen on the floor a lot. Ebo inside was playing, and then your guards, of course, with Frazier and Mark Smith and DeMonte Williams. Those 4 were on the floor together a lot, and even Matisse Vasil was in there a few times as well. So I think when I look at this team, I think my expectations have changed a little bit. I think the guys that I thought were going to be the horses, I thought Mark Allstork and Mark Smith were kind of be those guys that we can rely on to really supply those big buckets. I was wrong about those 2 guys at this point.
Which player has surprised you the most so far?
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way, because you said that you named some players that you expected would be a big impact. So far, they have not been. But is there another player or 2 that has replaced the players that have not lived up to your expectations?
Yeah, there's 3, actually. DeMonte Williams, Trent Frazier, and Aaron Jordan. I think that those 3 guys, I didn't really know what to expect coming into the season. Honestly, I didn't think that Aaron Jordan was going to be the leading three-point shooter in the nation. He's been terrific. I think then Trent Frazier's just exploded in the last couple of weeks, and he just adds a dynamic to this offense that we haven't seen in a while at the point guard position. Name the last time that we've had a point guard at Illinois that can really shoot it from deep.
Yeah, Eli, what are you doing with the dinosaur there?
I was just playing.
He's just keeping himself active.
I'm keeping
myself occupied while you and Isaac have a nice chat.
That's all right. But I want to speak to what Isaac said about Aaron Jordan. Aaron Jordan has been very, very good shooting, especially from beyond the arc. He was 4 for 8 against Longwood. He had 23 minutes, scored 22 total points. He has been the most impressive player on this team. But for the team overall, it's just been very erratic. I mean, going back to games against like Northwestern and Maryland, where they were overtime games, of course, but they came back to defeat Austin Peay. It was a close game, which I don't think any of us expected that to happen to be a close game, and they lost to UNLV, and then they showed that they're able to dominate teams that they're supposed to dominate against Longwood. So it's just been very, very weird, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of inconsistencies from the team so far, but I mean, that's what you should expect this early on in the season. Would it have been nice to pick up, obviously, one of those games, one of those Big Ten games, especially? Yes. Would it have been nice to pick up?
You really do.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's it would have been nice to have those. However, if you look at their schedule, right? If you look at their schedule going into Big Ten play, they play Minnesota first, right? probably are going to be 0-3 in Big Ten play to start. But I mean, you can make a case that Michigan game is a toss-up. They play Michigan next.
They can definitely beat
Michigan. They can beat Michigan. That's a toss-up. But you can get the Illinois team can get to 3-3 in Big Ten play pretty fast. And I think that what we've seen so far, yes, is inconsistent, but we've also seen improvements kind of from week to week, which is good. I mean, that Wake Forest team, right? The game, watching them in Wake Forest and then watching them in Maryland, right? Even just that span.
Even UNLV.
They look so much. Yeah, I mean, UNLV is probably where you should go with it. If you go to UNLV, they look a lot better. And honestly, UNLV, or a lot of people were kind of bummed about that loss and they thought they should have won that. UNLV is a tournament team. UNLV is a really good team. And you know how good Brandon McCoy is? I mean, he's very good.
He's a lot.
And they don't have anyone that's big enough to really kind of contest that. But I was actually surprised with the way they did play against him. I thought that they did okay in some stances, which was nice to see them play so well against a big guy like that. So, I mean, inconsistencies you'll see some stuff continue, but these are some big games coming up for them before they get into Big Ten play. You know, with this New Mexico game coming up at the United Center for them, that's a big one. And then if you can beat Missouri, you know, in front of a sold out crowd, which they'll have, that's going to be a big one too. So they got some big ones coming up, and they can get into a groove.
I don't know. I think that their first Big Ten win, Illinois, that is, their first Big Ten win is probably going to come against the Iowa Hawkeyes on January 11th.
And that's a fair statement. I mean, but they can think about it. They could pick up 3, Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin.
Right. But the Wolverines, they're 6-0 at home, and they've been very impressive when they are in Ann Arbor. And, again, that's a road game, Illinois against Michigan. I just don't think that they'll be able to get their first Big Ten victory. I think it could probably be against Minnesota, but maybe not. I probably wouldn't bank on that. But, yeah, guys, I just think that
I think they're going to be fired up to play in Big Ten play. I mean, after you got 2 and what they've been able to kind of accomplish and how Trent Frazier has found his groove, and I don't think anything's going to change come Big Ten play. I think that he's kind of found his way now. Mark Smith is kind of getting back there. He's climbing back in. He's had a successful past 2 games. And
Brad Underwood knows how important those games are.
And Finke's finally looking like he's back a little bit. The only thing I worry about from Finke personally is once he gets that bigger competition again, is he going to struggle? And because he's made to dominate not good teams, which is what he did against Longwood. He is made to do that. That's easy for him. But every single time he's been up against kind of worthy competitors, he hasn't really been able to show up.
Anytime he plays against elite, big man talent, he has been exposed.
And the only person that has shown up during those circumstances actually is LaRon Black, which is promising to see, is the fact that he can hang on and he can play. But they need Finke too. Finke's their tallest guy. Finke needs to do something.
I think that the return of Kipper and the return of LaRon in a timely manner is key for this game, because I really do think that these next 3 games against UNLV, or not against UNLV, against New Mexico State, Missouri, and Grand Canyon, really are must win at this point. I wouldn't necessarily say that you can if you lose one then the season's over. I'm not saying that, but I think that if you're really wanting to get some momentum going into Big Ten play, now's the time. I think early we saw that this team can really compete at a high level. I think we see that this team really cares. I think this team fights. I think that their defensive prowess is there. I think that they rebound the ball very well on the offensive glass, but they haven't finished. And I really want to see them in a tough game come down the stretch and finish a game off. And I think that we'll get a chance to see that this weekend.
Yeah, these next few games are going to show what team are we going to see this season. Are we going to see that inconsistent team and that team that just can't finish, that can't close out against big school? I mean, I think if you're in the way down at the end of the season, you play them again against a Longwood team or anybody, they're going to be able to destroy them. They're going to be able to dominate. Even if they don't win a Big Ten game, they'll destroy. Yeah. But are they going to be a team that right now, I think I've said this to Alex, I think this team is really good at matching the other team, right? They're one of those teams that's really good at, they look at Wake Forest, I can play up to their level. They look at Northwestern, I can play up to their level. They look at Maryland, I can play up to their level. We saw that in each one of the games.
Finish it,
well, the problem is you need to play up a level, and they're not doing that. They're just trying to match the level, and I think that's kind of a freshman mentality is, all right, let's stay in this. You need to learn how we want to win this, not stay in
That's a perfect analogy of a freshman-laden team. That's exactly right. And I think when you're looking at that backcourt, I mean, Tijon and Tijon hasn't given you too much.
And to be fair, this team has dealt with a few injuries, especially recently. So,
well, I mean, the last game. With LaRon and LaRon and Kipper. I mean, they should both be back. I don't really. That's not really any. They play. everyone was healthy for all the games that they played except the last one. And
Right,
the last
well-
one they destroyed. So
I mean, I guess the second half against UNLV would have been nice to have
Well,
LeBron
would
there,
it-
but
oh,
I
for
think
sure,
at
yeah.
times Illinois was pretty good going small against UNLV in that situation.
'Cause they were able to use more speed, and that's when they were really at their best, when they were able to do that.
Yeah,
At least that's what I saw when they were able to move up and down the court.
yeah, they were fine. I think though when you don't have Kipper and you don't have LeBron, I think you see how thin we really are.
Yeah.
Because even last night, I mean, didn't Greg Ebo play like 13 minutes, and then Matich played like
to be
about
clear,
13? as well?
I'm interested in last night. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. What I'm interested in last night's game, right, in the Longwood game, is is Longwood that bad? Right? Not saying are we that good. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying is Longwood that bad?
They're pretty
or
bad.
did we get so? And
They
that's
only
what I
scored
believe.
21 points in the second half.
and I believe they are that bad. But
They haven't beaten a
the-
Division I team.
for scoring the 92 points, right, with
Without those.
without those two guys,
Yeah.
and with playing small, and with everything that they've done, it's honestly pretty impressive.
This segment of Illini Drive on WPG 1071 is brought to you by the Illinois Fighting Illini. For tickets and information on the Illini, visit fightingillini.com or call 1-866-Illini-1. Again, fightingillini.com or call 1-866-Illini-1 for more ticket information. So we have a window right in the studio here. There's always strange happenings going on. What is happening out there? We heard like a big noise that came right in.
There's a police car
There's like two police cars, yeah,
with
Cool.
flashing lights.
with they're flashing their lights. So there's something going on.
Oh, perfect.
You know what? It's
Yeah,
probably just a kid that got pulled over. He's probably got a nice car, but he got pulled over probably by campus police.
There's a
For
chance.
revving it too hard, you think?
Yeah.
Looks like
probably.
plenty of people are walking by. I think there might have been an accident or something. So don't go
right.
down Green Street right now. That's
Yes.
all. There's a lot of traffic.
You
lot
know,
of
we were
traffic,
talking
a lot of
about Minnesota. We were talking about Illinois and Minnesota. What we can call our second Big Ten opener.
Yeah.
Minnesota, you remember, got destroyed by Nebraska in Lincoln this year. Nebraska is not very good. So this Minnesota team, while I do love my Jordan Murphy pick at the beginning of the year, he's been great. He's averaging
called
20.
it, man.
He's
You
averaging
called it.
20 and 10. But I don't think that they're quite as prolific as we thought they were going to be. I do think they're a bad matchup for Illinois, though, because they have that size inside with Reggie Lynch and Jordan Murphy, and then they have some very athletic guards. Who's their point guard? Nate Mason's still there, yeah, and he's an all Big Ten type of talent.
What are some teams in all of college basketball that so far this year have surprised you in a bad way, where you thought that Team X was going to be much better than they are right now, and Team Y is the same way? What are some teams that you can think of?
Off the top of my head, I think the first one that popped into my head is Arizona. I thought that, I think they were the number 2 overall at the beginning of the season, and then they just have plummeted after a really rough thing. Honestly, I thought Purdue was going to be a little better than what they are. I expected a little bit more from them. That's a tough question, though.
I'll say Florida too.
Yeah, Florida at times. Florida at times hasn't been terrific. They're 6-3, 22nd in the country right now. If you're looking for surprises, I think Arizona State is the one that pops into my head. But back to your original question, Kansas hasn't been very good at all.
No.
They are not.
That was
deep.
and that was somebody that was who I was going to.
They're
They
ranked
are not
13th.
deep.
Yeah, I was going to say them too. They're now ranked 13th according to the AP poll.
They have a pretty solid guard in Devontae Graham, but after that, oh boy, and they have losses to Washington 74-65. Arizona State went to Kansas and beat them by 10, and that was their first time in ever that they've lost back-to-back games. In
Can I throw
Kansas.
two teams at you?
Yes.
TCU and Wichita State. TCU is undefeated right now. They're only ranked, 14th, I think?
Yeah, right
14th?
behind Kansas.
Right, okay. Yeah, 14th, and Wichita State is now 3rd.
Personally,
I mean, if you're talking about teams that have been surprising in a good way, I think that those are the first 2 teams that popped into my head.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think
I've always been a fan of Wichita State. I really have. I have
They have a
loved
very
what they've
good
done
coach
with their
over
program.
there.
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say. Is I think Wichita State doesn't surprise me too much. I mean, this is a team that's always really, really good, and I like that team, and like you said, they have a great coach over there, and it's just a well-formed team. But who was the other name that you said? by the way?
TCU.
Yeah, TCU. Yeah, I could see that they're surprising in there. Another Texas team that I was thinking of was Texas Tech. I mean,
Yep.
we've talked. I always believed they were a solid basketball team, but did I think they'd be kind of ranked this early? Necessarily no, and I think they can move up. Everyone talked about after that Northwestern game where they completely destroyed them at like 40-something points. Everyone was just like, well, Northwestern's really bad, but they didn't really give a lot of credit to Texas Tech. And, Texas Tech's 8-1 right now. They look pretty good, and I think they're a team that can definitely make some noise, and they can move up in the rankings right now with kind of how we've been surprised by some of these other teams.
Yeah, I remember last year when Illinois was looking for a new head coach that I said I think that they should be really bold and try to go after Greg Marshall.
They did.
Try to go after Greg Marshall. Give him as much money as you want. Give him a blank check.
Yeah,
bring him in here.
That's actually what I was excited for too.
But alas, it didn't happen.
His name was surfing around, and this was before. I mean, people got to think too. Brad Underwood's name was really never in it a lot. I mean, it
was hush-hush.
Yeah, there was never brought up.
It was not a shocker, but
Marshall was.
Yeah,
I mean, like Marshall was in it. Archie Miller was in it. All of the normal coaches that found a place eventually were all in it. But I mean, even Tom Crean was in it.
No,
I mean,
no, he wasn't.
Well, people talked about. They're like, oh, he left. So
I'm
not saying
there were rumors.
Yeah,
about it.
no, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying by in it. No, that's
that.
what I'm saying by in it. I'm not saying that they talked about it, but I'm saying there were all the names that surfaced around. Brad Underwood's name really wasn't in there because they're like, oh, he just got to Oklahoma State, right? He just got there, and honestly, I mean, I'd take him over. I mean, Marshall's great, but I think the way that Brad Underwood runs his offense is something I think is better suited for Illinois.
When Underwood got the job and I got that notification on my phone that Brad Underwood is the new Illinois basketball coach, I swear to God, like I know basketball pretty well, and I had to Google his name.
Yeah,
okay?
Really?
I literally Googled his name to be like, where is he coming from?
And then when you looked at his track record,
and then when I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is what I wanted to do.
What I actually knew was, oh, he's at. I was like, yeah, he was Stephen F. Austin. I was like, of course, he was Stephen F. Austin. He was great. I mean, he was amazing over there. But I was like, that was Stephen F. Austin, small school. So I was like, but wait, where was he last year? And then I didn't even remember he was at Oklahoma State. And then I looked and I was just like, oh, he's at Oklahoma State.
He took a really bad Oklahoma State offense to a top offense,
and he made something out of it. So, but that's funny. Yeah, I just like how big of a basketball guy you are. And I was like, I didn't know that. It's a fun story. Fun story.
Yeah, it really was hush hush. It was kind of it was kind of strange because, I mean, when I had to look up his name a little bit too. I knew he was at Stephen F. Austin, and I didn't really think that he was like a big part of how well Oklahoma State played last year, but he was. He really was. And yeah, I would still think that Greg Marshall would have been a better choice over Brad Underwood.
I mean, I'll be interested to see in the coming years, in the next couple of years, where Greg Marshall, if he's going to stay there. I mean, I want to know. I feel like he's a guy that if they don't get to, because they can get to an Elite Eight, but if they don't get to like a Final Four again, because they did a couple of years ago, didn't they? If they don't get to a Final Four again, sometime soon, there's going to be big schools that are going to come his way.
You know what my gut says about Marshall? I think that he'd only leave if Kansas opened up. That's my gut.
Yeah,
because that guy
that would be
what?
No, that would just cause some rifts. But yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that is honestly what my gut perspective is, and he's always talked about it too, over in Wichita State, about how much he loves it there. He loves what he's created, and he loves the fact that he has. He's built up equity with the fans, right? He you know what I mean? Like he's been there forever. He's won all the time. He's a great recruiter. He has his family set there.
Took a historically small school in terms of basketball and just blew it
make them relevant. Now they got out of the Missouri Valley Conference and now they're in the AAC, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And look how good they're doing.
They're
That's
fantastic.
the thing. I mean, everyone was just like, well, now we're going to see, what Greg Marshall Wichita State could do. Okay, they're third in the country. That's what they could do. That's how good they are.
I still can't believe
you don't just get to the Final Four. You don't get to the Elite Eight. You don't do that many tournaments, be that successful. It doesn't matter what conference you're in.
Think about it. They're ahead.
They play a good schedule, too.
Yeah. But they're now ahead of Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, Gonzaga, Kansas. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, also, let's keep in mind that some of these teams have been a little bit lackluster, as you mentioned, Isaac, the first one that came to your mind, or was that you, I said Kansas?
I said, well, I just
said Arizona,
Kansas,
right?
Yeah, Arizona and Kansas.
Arizona.
Yes,
You brought up
Arizona's another
Kansas,
one.
I agreed with you. Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. We'll take our first time out of the inning. When we come back, we'll discuss some NFL, a rather underwhelming game going on tonight. And like we said, I don't think anyone's going to watch. But yeah, we'll take our short time out here on WPG 107.1 Illini Drive. Welcome back to Illini Drive here on WPGU 107.1. So before we get into some NFL discussion, guys, I want to ask you, seeing as this is our last show of the calendar year.
It's also not just our last show, Luke. It's your last show.
Yeah, no,
That's
yeah.
rough.
And we didn't bring that up yet, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's going to be our last segment. We're
just gonna all go around and say our favorite thing about Luke.
I want to ask you,
Just like a whole
what's your
segment about
best
Luke.
Illinois sports memory? Because you
Yeah.
haven't had too many of them. So, like, which one?
Yeah,
would it be?
that's the problem with being a transfer student is that you don't really build up
Well,
a
also,
whole
we're just
lot.
going to Illinois.
Well, yeah, there you go.
That's the problem.
It's not like you're at Alabama or anything.
Yeah.
But speaking of Illinois
Which
sports,
national championship is your favorite? Which
I'm still salty about
love
the
that
405 team.
I love that Tim Beckman Bowl game, whatever that name was. I want to ask everyone here, what will happen with Illini sports next year, the next calendar year? Not just with next semester, but let's go with next fall. I mean, me personally, I'm not going to be here, as we said, for next semester or next year.
but the orange and blue will forever run through your soul.
Yeah, exactly. Running right through my veins. But yeah, what will happen with Illini sports next year? What will we be talking about?
Next year at this time, I think that we're going to be talking about Illinois football is going to have a really good recruiting class. They have some recruits that they are working on hard right now, and
We can only hope, right?
This weekend could be a really big one. I think that they could land 2 4-star players, which would be terrific. And there's a couple other guys that they're really leaning on. I think that also after this year, Illinois basketball is going to be relevant once again. I think you delete Mark Allstork off this team, and you add a 5-star point guard like Ayo Dosunmu, and you are ready to roll. And I think that that's a team next year at Illinois basketball that, if not, they could definitely be a top echelon team in the Big Ten, and I think that they could have a chance to go to the Sweet 16.
Actually, you know what? Next year, I'll keep my eyes on volleyball.
I was gonna say this time next year you're gonna have a Final Four volleyball team.
I'm not the biggest volleyball guy. I don't follow the sport too well, but volleyball really caught my attention this year.
took it
Making a
from me.
run. Well, it's too late now. They're definitely making that run to the Sweet 16 really opened my eyes about that team. So I would say, away from the high revenue sports, I would say, keep your eyes on volleyball because they could really do something next year.
Don't they only lose one senior, Brandy Donnelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
They're going to be very good.
And as good as she is, they got people that could fill her spot nicely.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
watch out for
the
volleyball.
entire team has just been so good this year. Like you said, Eli, if you lose Brandy Donnelly, it hurts quite a bit, but it may not.
With how well
Preclude
they've
them from making
recruited
the
and how well
tournament next
the players they got, they'll be able
They'll
to
be
do
able
it.
to make up for it.
Yeah.
Eli, what do you think we will be talking about next year in terms of Illini sports?
Well, now that the volleyball was taken from me, I think
You can expound on volleyball
no.
if you want.
I mean, the only thing I'll expand is I agree with that. I think that you could this time next year you could have a Final Four volleyball team, and they're going to be a top team in the country for sure. But I'm on the basketball train too. I think this time next year you can have a ranked Illinois basketball team, especially if it's the same type of schedule where you already have 2 Big Ten games out of the way. This time next year they could easily be a ranked team, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on them. I think, it depends on how they finish this year, but especially if they can somehow, find their way into the first round of the tournament, if something like that could happen this year, which is hard to say, but if it could happen, there's going to be a lot of eyes on them for next year, especially with, who they have coming in. But, we haven't even mentioned, you talked about recruits for football, and I guess it won't be this time. Obviously this time next year we're not going to have a football team going into the playoffs or anything like that. But you could potentially have a bowl game, like a really really low tier bowl game for this team. So we could be talking about that. The bowl games haven't started yet, and we could be talking about Illinois and in a Heart of Dallas Bowl again. I don't even know if that's still a bowl, but I think that the team's going to be.
Was that the Beckman?
That was the Beckman Bowl,
Okay.
and it'll be decent. They'll be decent enough next year. They got a lot of good guys coming in. I think those recruits will help. And you got to keep in mind how many freshmen they play. They're going to be sophomores, and they'll be a lot better. So.
Yeah, I think for me, when I view Illinois sports from afar next year now, will be that basketball will have a winning record. There'll be 5 games above 500 by the end of this current year, which I think is absolutely massive, especially for Illinois sports, not just the revenue side, but Illinois sports as a whole, when football has given you not much of anything. and you need a revenue sport to generate something for this campus. And I do think basketball is going to give us the first few signs of that after this year. For next year with football, there's another one I have. I'm a little bit more pessimistic when it comes to this football team. But here's what I will say. I will say that they will win a game after they win their first 2 games next year. Because that's been the trend in the last couple of years, is that they win their first 2 and then they lose the rest of them. I think that they will win 2, maybe 3 more games next year. I really do. Because like you said, I think they're going to get a big recruiting class coming in, hopefully. And also, the freshmen are no longer going to be freshmen. So this team will be better. It has to be better.
And you'll have a quarterback. Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
If
you could have a quarterback,
that's shock.
If you could have a quarterback,
Illinois football has a quarterback.
If you could have and you don't even have a quarterback. You got a couple options at QB. Really, I mean, you got a couple options at QB.
So that will definitely help. And I will say this about the non-revenue sports: I am looking forward to men's golf again, women's golf. I think women's golf is going to be very good, and volleyball was another one that I had. And I just think that I don't think next year is going to be as bad as it was this year for revenue sports, and for non-revenue sports, I think they're going to maintain their trajectory. What's the word I'm looking for?
Trajectory.
No, it's
trajectory.
Trajectory. Thank you. Jesus.
Trajectory. You a journalist?
I have 5 finals I've been studying for all day. My brain is mush.
So is mine. Hey, we're all of our brains are mush at this point with all the finals that we got to do. Did you guys know? Did I tell you that I have a final essay due on Christmas Eve?
Oh my gosh.
The morning of Christmas Eve.
All right.
But that's definitely going to be turned in before.
Let's not shout out, but let's diss that professor, right?
What class is that?
Just kidding. You won't get a good grade.
He's a good professor. He really is. It's a philosophy class. I kind of like it. It challenges you to think in many different ways, especially in the last class. But yeah, that kind of sucks. I'm definitely going to be doing that and finishing it way before Christmas Eve, probably 4 or 5 days. Which, by the way, I'm going to be home on the 19th, so I'm probably going to say to my mom, you know what? I have to do this essay. I'm not going to help you. I can't help you with Christmas shopping or anything like that. I got to get this done. 1,100 words. Holy crap. But let's switch back over to NFL. And with this Thursday night game, we said that neither one of us is really interested in watching this game, but we're probably going to end up watching anyway, or at least I will. But the Broncos and the Colts, this is probably a matchup that would be fun maybe 5 years ago. Something like that.
Manning was playing?
When Peyton Manning was playing, when Andrew...
when he was the QB of both teams? Yeah.
Well, let's go 3 years. 3, 4, 5 years when Peyton Manning was on the Broncos and Andrew Luck was on the Colts. Then Thursday Night Football would actually be a fun time to watch, which is extremely rare. But now you have Jacoby Brissett for the Colts. And who the hell is quarterbacking for the Broncos? Is it still
Osweiler.
It's Brock Osweiler? Oh, God.
Hey, remember when the Broncos started out 3-1? And everyone was saying that Trevor Siemian was like, oh
my
gosh.
He had 3 really good games, and I was like, he looks actually really good. And
they dissected the Cowboys 42-17.
And then what happened, Trevor? Why'd you gotta do that? But
why'd you start being bad? Why'd you do this? But yeah, I hate the fact that when it comes to the Broncos, I don't think that John Elway is really going to stand back and say, you know what? Yeah, the status quo is the status quo. Let's just stick with Simeon. Let's just stick with Osweiler. He's not going to put up with this very long. And I don't know why I started by saying I hate this, but John Elway, he's not going to hold back on trying to find another quarterback next year.
No, Elway's a winner.
Yeah.
Elway knows only one thing, and that is winning. And so I think that this season has been rough for him. I think that you see a Denver team that has the defense to be a top team and to be a playoff team. They have a couple running backs that could be definitely solid things. They definitely have the talent at wide receiver with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and they're only missing one thing, and that's quarterback. And I think that Elway is going to be very aggressive in free agency. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe also trade up in the draft to try to get one of these young studs, like Darnold, like Josh Rosen, like Allen.
They may not have to. They may not have to trade up in the draft. I mean, they can, and I think Elway would be the kind of executive that would do that. But they're going to finish with a losing record, so it's possible a quarterback could fall to them.
very unlikely. There's about 5 teams in front of them already,
It's true.
and they're tied with the Tampa Bay. They're tied with Chicago. They're tied with Houston. They're tied with those four teams that they're tied with. So I think with the tiebreakers, they would end up being about the 7th or 8th pick right now. So I strongly wouldn't think that they'd fall all the way to 8. But I think there's also plenty of the season left, and they could probably drop down a little bit. Hey, and the Bears looked really good the other day. They might win a couple games and end 7-9 and end up with another middling outside linebacker from somewhere.
Yeah, I want to ask about the Bears. Were the Bears like very good against the Bengals, or were the Bengals just extremely injured, and therefore the offense looked as good as it did, or is it both? And how is it both?
I think that they look good. I mean, to be honest, that was Trubisky's best game of his NFL career now. I mean, you know what? I think he had 1 touchdown. He rushed for 1 touchdown, and then he threw for like 270-something yards. So, I mean, I was waiting for the game where Trubisky would throw more than like 50 yards. So that was a really fun game to see from him. I mean, he seemed like, and 50, is an exaggeration, but he would get like 100 yards or so each game. And I mean, that's not great. And so it was nice to see like, oh, okay, he's got the potential to go, 250 plus yards in a game and also get those touchdowns. Seeing him rush for 1 was great. And
it seemed like they opened the offense up a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, but you also got to realize, I mean, like, before I was skeptical, right, about, okay, how good can Trubisky be? How good can Mitchell Trubisky be? And that skepticism, even with as bad as this team is, the skepticism has gone away because he doesn't have any wide receivers. I mean, he's got nobody.
Kendall Wright.
Dontrell Inman. He's got absolutely nobody to throw to. And he's done what he can. I mean, he's beat the Bengals, and he's had some other quality games, and he looks good on some of his throws. So, I mean, this year, everyone knew it was going to be, this is going to be a losing record. This is going to be a struggling year. But it's a win for Mitchell Trubisky so far. I mean, I like what I see, and I think they did play well against the Bengals. And Tariq Cohen also is just a stud. I mean, Tariq Cohen's going to be really good. Jordan Howard is really, really good.
He had 23 carries for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns.
If they can get a quality receiver, right? I mean, 2 would be good if they can get 2 quality receivers.
Maybe 3.
But I mean, 3 obviously great. But and then that defense can improve a little bit. I mean, and they can just get a little older, a little more mature. They're gonna have a pretty quality team. I mean, you have Eddie Jackson, who's phenomenal for them, and you got a lot of really. I mean, and then you have injuries too. Leonard Floyd's out, but you got plenty of quality guys on there. They've done well drafting, and they've done well with their young guys. And if they just keep that up, it's going to be a really good team.
Cody Whitehair on the offensive line was another great draft pick in the second round. Adam Shaheen has shown moments.
Adam Shaheen looks like he could be a really good.
I was going to say Adam Shaheen.
He reminds me of kind of like Greg Olsen type tight end. I think he could be really good.
He's baby Gronk. Haven't you heard?
He's baby Gronk. I don't think he's baby Gronk, but
that's just what some people have been saying about it. Like, nah, I don't think he's quite there yet. But yeah, Adam Shaheen in the last few games has definitely shown you that he can be a pretty good pass catching tight end.
Where did he go to college again? Yeah, Ashland, right?
Yes.
Ashland, something like that. Right? I loved the way the Bears drafted this year. I mean, I just loved it because I think they were looking at those guys that nobody looks at. I mean, you have Tariq Cohen, who probably would have been drafted way later, but I didn't mind where they took him because I obviously look at him now. Look how good he is, and he was from North Carolina A&T. But when he was there, if you look at his stats. And obviously, it's like not a great conference, not a great school for football, all that stuff. He was insane.
It still takes some talent to do
it. It takes talent to do what he did. If you look it up, he was the best rusher in the history of the conference.
And Eli, you mentioned Eddie Jackson. The one problem I have with him, just the one problem, is that he's not that good of a tackler. But if he has good ball skills, which he has shown that he does.
If he can really, he seemed to be kind of similar to a Peanut Tillman type. I mean,
Kyle Fuller's also had a great.
I like Kyle. Yeah, Kyle Fuller, because everyone was talking about last year. They didn't like how Kyle Fuller was playing. They didn't think he'd be great.
I'm still trying to put my finger on Kyle Fuller in terms of, is this who he can be if he gets a new contract, or like on a consistent basis?
I think
or
so, yeah.
Is he
I think Eddie
guy
Jackson,
who's in a contract year and is just hoping to get paid a big contract? Like, he's going to get paid.
I think Eddie Jackson and Kyle Fuller are 2 guys that could be really good for this team. I mean, it could be like a Tim Jennings, Peanut Tillman type of a duo for this team. I mean, it could be some really good stuff in that backfield for them. And again, I mean, with Eddie Jackson especially, I just think he's got that talent that Bears fans like, where he's able to get turnovers and he's able to have ball vision that other people don't have. And Kyle Fuller has just improved, and I think that's not something that's going to go away. I think last year, was last year his sophomore year?
And
Was last year a sophomore?
He had battled injuries for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
would say he was in.
He's from Virginia Tech, though, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I remember they drafted. I just can't remember what year they drafted him.
that was in 2014, I want to say. It was either 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2015. I think it was probably the last year of the Phil Emery, Mark
It was,
Trestman
yes.
era.
First round of the 2014 draft.
2014,
Yep,
okay.
you're
there
right.
you go.
You're right.
So, well, I think the one thing I will say about Ryan Pace is that he has gotten a lot of fair critiques about his free agent signings in particular and some of the draft picks that have not panned out for him. But I don't think the clock started so much on the drafting of Mitchell Trubisky. I think that the clock is really going to start when he hires a coach after he fires John Fox. I mean, yes, he is tied to Mitchell Trubisky, but I think that if the next coach doesn't do well, especially with Trubisky, then that means that whenever the coach gets fired, Ryan Pace is going to get fired.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, the questioning coming in there, but, I do think that Ryan Pace has done good for this team, and I think right now he's on.
I think he's done all right to keep his job and let him hire another coach.
And he's on track. He's on track to get a quality rebuild going for this team. I mean, he is on the right track. Where did he screw up? I mean, getting Mike Glennon unnecessarily, and then you go and draft Trubisky.
The signing of Ray McDonald.
That's
that
money
was
that you could have used
sign.
elsewhere. I mean, you have a lot of odd situations. But
Hronis Grasu, a terrible draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be realizing, okay, this is where I should be going, and maybe I just need to go full rebuild mode, and that's what he's been doing so far, and it's been working, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, the next step for them is just you got to get rid of John Fox.
Before we take our final break of the night, can somebody explain to me how the Buffalo Bills are a playoff team at a minus 50 point differential?
Because LaShawn McCoy is a terrific player.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tyrod Taylor's a good player.
I think Tyrod Taylor is a very underrated player.
Me too.
And I think that their defense is legit.
Defense is legit.
Nathan Peterman did a fantastic
It's just really weird when I look at these standings and I see a minus 50 point differential for a team that's in the playoffs. I mean, that's just
It also
really strange.
shows, though, how down the AFC is right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that Baltimore is a team at 7-6 that I would expect them to finish above Buffalo. I think Baltimore has some pretty good talent. I think that look at the Titans. They're 8-5, and they've been atrocious this year.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota has been awful.
Yeah,
I would know. He's on my fantasy team. He's been horrendous. Their running game has been inconsistent at best. They won't commit to Derrick Henry over
when he's played
and
better than
obviously
DeMarco Murray.
I mean, you have a team that, like the Houston Texans, who I honestly think that if Deshaun Watson doesn't go down, they're 4-9 right now. With Watson, I say they're 9-4. And they've lost so many tough, close games. Then you look at the West: Kansas City, Los Angeles Chargers, Oakland Raiders. They're all 7-6, 7-6,
The whole division
6-7.
is still trash.
No.
Have you seen
Los
the
Angeles? Los Angeles is very good. The Chargers
Well,
are
recently.
very,
The Chargers-
very
Recently
good.
they have been, but did you see them at the beginning of the year?
I don't care about the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I
do
can do it
not
right
care.
It isn't
now.
how you start.
This
it's
is
how you finish.
what I think
Okay.
they started. Didn't they start 0-4, and it was because their kicker missed 2 game-winning
Yeah.
kicks?
Oh, yeah.
Or 3
So
game-winning kicks?
what about Kansas City? Which team is the real Kansas City?
Okay. Which one is the real Kansas City?
Is it the team that we saw go? What was it? 0-5, and then they went 0-6. I think it's how.
I'm not a huge Kansas City guy. I don't really like what they do. I like some of their pieces. I like Travis Kelce. I like Tyreek Hill. I love their running back, Kareem Hunt. But I don't really love their defense. I don't really love Alex Smith. And if I'm comparing the Chargers and them, I look at the Chargers' weapons of Keenan Allen, who's been one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the game outside of Antonio Brown. They have Hunter Henry and Antonio Gates at the tight end position. Melvin Gordon at running back. Tyrell Williams is a great wide receiver, a great number 2 or number 3 wide receiver, along with Travis Benjamin, who's been terrific in the slot for them.
Also, I'm sorry, but no, you keep going and everything. I was just sitting there thinking about it. I just think Phillip Rivers deserves something. I mean,
He's been terrific.
Yeah, no, I just think his career, he deserves something.
I still say that
he deserves a good playoff.
I mean, and
run.
everyone says the Chargers started 0-4, but listen, they lost a 24-21 game to the Broncos. Kicker missed 2 kicks. They lost a 19-17 game to the Dolphins. Kicker missed another kick.
Is it who's their kicker now?
They've won through 4. They're on Travis Coons.
Well, who was it
There's
at the start? Was it Lambeau or no?
No. It wasn't Lambeau. It was like I think his last name was Koo, like Jung Ho Koo.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay,
then they
yeah.
lost a 26-24 game to the Eagles.
I still say that the Chargers are missing Dontrell Inman.
Ooh, you know what we should. Well, we can go. I mean, we said we need to go to a break, but I'd be interested to hear what everyone thinks about with the Nick Foles situation.
Oh, boy.
Because one thing
yeah.
I've heard people say is that the Eagles have the best backup quarterback situation in the NFL. And I'm like, really? You think Nick Foles is the best backup quarterback in the NFL?
I don't think he's
That's
bad.
not-
No, I don't either.
That's not
He's
saying
better.
a whole
He's-
lot.
He's better than a lot of backup QBs. Do not get me wrong. He's better than a lot of the people who are
Well, let's-
starting right now.
Let's discuss that on the other side of a break. And after we do, we'll say our final goodbyes for the semester and for the calendar year
And
of
Luke.
2017.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Luke.
Oh, man.
We will miss you.
Not now. Not now. Don't
Oh, yeah,
miss
really
me
quick.
now.
Sorry for the caller that called in.
That's all right. That's all right. He requested a song.
No. I think he actually wanted to talk, but
No, it's okay.
Well, one of them, there was one, I think 2 people called, but one of them was my cousin.
Ah,
oh,
Yeah, he just texted me. He tried to call
another
me.
Schuster.
oh,
is
that
on
was
the
your
show.
cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my.
So we're
bad.
sorry, Jeff.
Let's go.
That's
Let's
my-
We'll go to break.
That's my fault, buddy. I'm sorry.
take us a break. Let's go to break. Illini Drive, WPG 1071. Welcome back to Illini Drive here on WPG 1071. So as we said before, this is the last show for the semester, for the calendar year, and for me, my entire Illinois career. I just want to.
Oh,
Let's
man,
go.
why you got to put us like that? Now it's not sad.
Well, let's go around the room and let's just let's say let's just go around the year or really the entire semester and what are some of our favorite moments for this semester that we had on this show? Isaac, let's start with you.
Favorite memories on this show, other than the fact that I felt like I missed every single Tuesday with either going to basketball or having to go get to go talk to Illinois football players. That was interesting. One of my favorite memories from this show was when Naya blasted people. The person who accused Ezekiel Elliott of assault.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a good
She went off on him.
That was a good
That
conversation.
was a really good thing. And then plus, every single week talking about Kendrick Foster was a really great
Yeah.
memory.
Eli, what about you?
I was going to go around and talk about Kendrick every week. I think it was so funny. I think it obviously, Luke, when you were gone, we missed having you here. And it was just like, man, what do we do when Luke's gone?
Yeah.
I guess we're going to talk about
Yeah,
Kendrick
kinda
Foster.
look at each other
Luke, then Luke would go. And then
Come
Luke-
on, stop it.
and then-
I'm not the end all be all of this show.
No, but we would sit there and be like, what do we talk about? And then we would just look at each other and be like, Kendrick again? And we'd be like,
Yeah,
I
we're
guess
like,
we're talking about
yeah,
I guess we're
good.
talking about Kendrick again. So that was always fun. But I think we had a good concussion conversation. I
That
remember
was a
earlier.
very-
That
yeah.
was
It was
just
very good.
Because I think I don't know. I really enjoyed when we actually sat and we had some kind of
Like a
not
civilized-
deeper,
but a
but just some
civilized, deep-
discussions about what we
yeah.
thought. About
I
certain.
think,
Hotter topics, I guess.
Right.
Discussions that may be a little bit more taboo than others. Not,
Yeah, I mean,
even
hotter
though they're not
conversation,
taboo.
more
Like more
controversial
sensitive topics.
And I like honestly, I like when we were able to kind of give all of our own opinions and sometimes we didn't agree with one another, but it was nice to kind of get it out there. And I think we did a good job having those conversations. So
Alex.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Alex, what about you?
It was actually that one show that we did where everybody was out and it was just you and I. And we did a 2-man show.
So you're saying that everyone else should be out of the room?
Well,
whenever-
no,
no, I'm
Hey, you
just
and I did a
joking.
two-man
That is
show.
a joke.
You and I
but
did
I'm
a 2-man show.
Right, but I'm just saying in
That's
Luke's
a
case,
Eli
this
is
is
not a
his
happy
last
giver.
show. It's also
Oh,
just
okay,
sort of
I get
like-
it. It's the Luke thing.
Right. So, I remember I honestly forgot what we talked about, but it was actually a really good show.
How dare you?
This is Luke.
He just remembers being with me, and I remember those couple of shows that we had together. And my favorite memory was probably when I came back after I got home
The
or
comeback.
got back to school after I had to get an eye surgery back home, and how awesome you guys were, how open you guys were into having me back, and we just talked sports. It felt like I was never away, and that was probably my favorite memory. And the one thing I will say about, if I could have a couple of minutes to thank some people,
course.
yeah, to thank
Spin. Go.
Go.
Show us
It's all
yours.
you.
Go.
to thank
Spit
some
it.
people for allowing me to be here, because being on the show, whether it was doing crosstalk with Joey Gelman, that was the first time I was actually sitting in this very chair right here, and Joey Gelman was behind behind the productions desk, right where Alex is, and we discussed Cubs and Blackhawks. And that was the first time I was ever on air. And I think I said the word excited at least 4 or 5 times in my first sentence because, I was nervous, and that was the first time I was ever on the radio. But I was clearly excited. And I was. And that was the first show I ever had. And whether it was that, doing a Saturday startup show I did with Stephen Cohn, Ori Benatar, Will Gerard, and Hunter Warning, to now here at Illini Drive last year, being with Ori, Jade, Jake, and Cole, and Hunter, and and Alex, you were there as well. And I can't forget about you. And now here,
and now a better crew here.
I can't respond to that, but being here on this show, you guys have made this show extremely fun, and I thank you guys for being a part of this with me. You guys were absolutely awesome. Like you said, we've had disagreements, we've had agreements, we've discussed sensitive topics, we've discussed not so sensitive topics, but it doesn't matter because we can't always agree and we can't always disagree. We're always going to have differing opinions, and we're always going to want to talk about different things when it comes to sports or other things, and that's okay. I always say that the number one thing when it comes to radio, and really, and especially in sports radio, is that you have 2 jobs. One is you have to be informed, and you have to be entertained, or entertaining. You can be entertained as well, but you have to be informed and entertaining. And that is what makes for a great radio show. It really does. And it doesn't matter if it's sports, but especially in sports, because it's just, it's just 5 guys or 4 guys and 1 girl in this case that we're just talking about sports. And it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be informing as well. And I want to thank some people that helped me along the way here at school and here at the Daily Illini and WPGU. I want to start with you guys, Isaac, Eli, Alex, and Naya, who is not here with us today, but hopefully she's listening somewhere on the plane. I want to thank you guys. You guys were absolutely awesome. I want to thank Ori Benatar as well, Joey Gelman, Dan Collins, Kevin McCarthy, Charlotte, Cole, Hunter. I mean, there's so many people that I can thank, but that were here at WPGU and at the DI, and unfortunately I can't get to all of them. Otherwise, I'm going to bore everyone to tears. But I want to thank the most important people in my life that helped me get here at school and reaffirm that this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life, and that is my family, mom, dad, my brother, my brother-in-law, my 2 sisters, and cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone in my family that made me get here, and that have been so proud of me, and I hope I've made them proud, and I will continue to try to do whatever I can to make sure that I am doing this at a big radio station and just having the time of my life. And I also want to thank my girlfriend, Anna. Honey, I love you to death. She has been that girl is a saint, man. There's no one better than that woman right there. I mean, that she's been very supportive. She's visited me plenty of times down here and has helped me along the way doing this. So, Anna, honey, thank you very much as well. And yeah, you guys have, like I said, you guys have reaffirmed to me that this is the number one thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. That is talk about sports, write about sports, and just have a good time. Because what better job is there than just to be on the radio and just talk about sports? I mean, it just reaffirms to me that this is something that is not a job for me. If I ever get a chance to do this, it's not going to be a job for me. I'm always going to have fun doing this. I will always look forward to, if I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to make a 5 a.m. show, or I have to wake up at midnight and do a 1 a.m. show, or whatever it is. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I'm definitely going to miss being on the show, being on campus, being around everyone here, not just you 3 and Naya, but also around everyone else that was here at WPGU and at the DI. So I can't believe it's the last one for me, but I will definitely miss it. And I thank you guys again for keeping this as fun as it has been throughout the entire semester.
Well, we're gonna miss you.
We are. I don't know how we're gonna do it next semester.
You guys will be great.
Hey, one question though: what are the big plans? What's your next step?
What do we got going on?
For me, I have 2 ways of going about the next calendar year. First off, for the holidays, I plan on just just relaxing, enjoying the holiday season.
You finished 4 years ago.
Well, two
Technically,
years,
there you
but
go.
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
you
it was
were
really like
working.
6 years
You were working.
in all of college.
It's
But yeah,
It's well deserving regardless.
All I'm saying, Luke, is giving you some credit. Come on, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, I plan on enjoying the holidays. But, for those that may not know, is that I do have a minor leg problem. And I am really considering getting the surgery that is going to change my life forever, that is going to fix my leg. I always said that after I graduate college, that is the time where I could get this surgery because this is a year-long recovery. Mm-hmm. So obviously you can't do that while you're doing school. But I don't know. I mean, I really would love to try to find a job, hopefully doing this, whether it be in a big market or a smaller market or, whatever gets me involved in the field that I'm in. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it is time for me to get the one thing that's going to change my life forever because I've been dealing with this leg problem for almost 25 years, my whole life. But I don't know. Those are really the two things: is that finding a job that is going to make me happy and that is going to get me to places that I want to go, or just to get the surgery done that's going to change my life forever.
Well, I think
so. Who knows?
Whatever
no matter you
decide
pick,
to do,
you're going to find success in whatever you do. And I think
Absolutely.
even if you let's say you go for the surgery, hey, the other thing you'll just do afterwards. So you'll be able to get it all done.
I appreciate that. And by the way, you guys are extremely talented. Naya is extremely talented. Everyone around this building, everyone in this building is extremely talented at what they do. Everyone here is going places, especially you three. You guys are very informed. You're very smart. You know exactly what to do in terms of writing, broadcasting, and you guys are only going to get better. We're all going to get better, and I just can't believe that it's all coming to an end. But yeah, you guys are absolutely amazing at what you do. Don't stop doing it, okay?
We will. I will definitely not.
No, I'm gonna
definitely
don't. Keep checking a lot.
But yeah,
We'll have a reunion chat.
And I will say to like future people that will interview me, you're not going to find anyone that is going to work as hard as I am at trying to make my dreams come true. So, but doing this has been the ride of a lifetime for me. I have just absolutely
send off though.
I started doing this in winter of 2016. I think that's when I started, and since then I haven't wanted to stop. And I hope you guys don't want to stop doing what you are doing. So I don't know who is going to replace me, if I will be replaced, but Ori is going to find
no one can ever replace you, Luke.
No.
Understand
Thank you
that.
very much, Eli.
Hard.
But I think it's time for us to get out of here, unless either one of you guys want to say one last thing.
Hey, well, I'm excited for everything 2018 will bring.
Yes,
for all
sir.
of us in this room,
2018 is going to be a banner year.
2018 hopefully will be a better year for everybody, and for us, those in this room, and also Luke, for you as well.
Thank you very much. And I will definitely be listening to Illini Drive here on WPG 107.1, which has been brought to you by the Illinois Fighting Illini. For tickets and information on the Illini, visit fightingillini.com or call 1-866-Illini-1. Again, fightingillini.com or call 1-866-Illini-1 for more ticket information. So for Isaac Trotter, Eli Schuster, Alex Aguilera, Nia Crittenden, I am Luke Sciaccotta saying to you for the final time of this calendar year, we will see you next year. And for me personally, the final time here on Illini Drive and here at U of I, you have been listening, and we thank you for listening to Illini Drive here on WPGU 107.1.